Gunther and Damian Priest's story took a new clear direction this week, so we'll see what that's about. We'll also check out what's going on with Zelina Vega, Jey Uso, and more. Starting things off with Damian Priest and Gunther's storyline. Damian and Gunther will meet at SummerSlam one-on-one for the World Heavyweight title. This match came to be due to Gunther winning the King of the Ring tournament, which promised the winners of the tournament SummerSlam World title matches. And when this match became official after Damian Priest survived his last title defense, a big concern fans had was how well will this story work if Damian and Gunther are both heels. WWE often avoids heel versus heel matchups as much as possible because it can be difficult for fans to find someone to cheer for if both superstars are bad guys. But the July 15th edition of Raw did a great job of painting the picture more clearly for when it comes to who really is the true heel of this feud. During Damian and Gunther's face-to-face, Damian Priest was painted out to be the babyface of this feud. There was a lot of focus and attention on Damian Priest and his backstory. Damian comes from the very difficult streets of the Bronx, New York. Nothing was ever given to him at all. He had to scratch and claw for every opportunity he got. He risked it all for his wrestling career. He was homeless, sleeping on the street, not knowing where his next meal was going to come from, and it took him 20 years just to make it to the WWE. While in comparison to Damian, Gunther bragged about growing up in an amazing household, where his parents granted him many amazing opportunities and gave him everything he needed. And Gunther said in his own case, WWE was the ones begging and harassing him to sign with him. He never had to chase WWE, they always chased him. So when you compare both background stories that the superstars gave us, Damian's story is naturally the more relatable story for common people. Maybe some people can relate to the flashy lifestyle Gunther was talking about, but even more people can truly relate to Damian's story. Many people know what it's like to struggle hard and live paycheck to paycheck. So that's what makes Damian even more relatable as a character here, therefore making him the babyface of this feud. So it looks like that was the purpose of bringing up their backgrounds, to show people that Damian Priest comes from a very relatable background and worked hard for everything he's got. People can appreciate a story like that over Gunther's story of just everything being handed to him. And they really nailed this idea home when they had Gunther refer to Damian Priest as nothing more than street trash. So this segment was wonderful for finally establishing who's the babyface and who's the heel for this matchup. You can argue that Damian Priest is more of a tweener at this exact moment in time, but it appears that his babyface transition is completely well underway. And it's like we spoke about during the latest Rhea and Liv story breakdown. They had that backstage shot of Rhea and Damian catching up and speaking to each other, while the rest of the group ignored them and was playing WWE 2K24 in the background. And when you really look deep into it and take into consideration everything that's happened with both Rhea and Damian, that segment does appear to have a deeper metaphoric meaning to it. In that segment, we see the rest of the Judgment Day in a corner together, and then we see Rhea and Damian together in one corner. Perfect symbolism of just how disconnected this group is. And Rhea and Damian are basically outsiders within the group, given the babyface nature of their characters. Damian and Rhea can no longer truly relate to the rest of the group, since the group is heels and they're basically babyfaces. So that's the dynamic that's going on right there with the Judgment Day. You can sort of compare it to the Sami Zayn and Bloodline situation in terms of having a big babyface character within a heel faction. And you just know something big's gotta happen there to fully break that babyface character away from the group. And that's what we're waiting for right now with Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. The both of them are already babyfaces. We're just waiting for that big exit moment that they'll go through for fully leaving the Judgment Day. Ever since the LWO had been drafted to Raw, they had lots of steam and momentum as a group. But as an individual, Zelina Vega has actually been picking up a lot of momentum in recent months. Zelina had her first big break back in the spring of 2023 when she challenged Rhea Ripley for the women's title in her home country of Puerto Rico. It was by far the biggest program Zelina Vega had ever been a part of in WWE. A lot of fans expected that momentum to continue for Zelina after exiting that feud with Rhea Ripley, but the exact opposite ended up happening. Zelina Vega would return back into the role of just managing the LWO, and the opportunity for herself would thin out again. But over the last few weeks, Zelina had stepped back into the spotlight, and she's once again the LWO member that's shining the most right now. The biggest recent moment she had was when she came near seconds away from defeating Liv Morgan for the Women's World title, but Dominik's involvement ended up costing Zelina the title. So in her eyes, had Dominik not been involved at all, she's probably the Women's World Champion right now. And it's looking like Zelina Vega will stay lurking around the title picture for the time being. The July 15th edition of Raw featured a backstage interview with Zelina Vega, where she made it clear that after Rhea and Liv are done fighting over Dominik, she wants to face whoever comes out of that as champion. Zelina claims she's next in line due to how she was screwed out of her last title match. Sonya Deville's faction ended up interrupting Zelina, so it looks like Zelina could spend the next few weeks feuding with them. And it seems possible that Zelina Vega will truly look to face whoever is the Women's World Champion after SummerSlam. Zelina even recently took to Twitter to reflect on her career so far, saying that all she ever heard was that her height is what's holding her back. But she promised that if they just let her hold the ball, she'll show them what she can do with it. So Zelina isn't backing down. She's staying vocal about just receiving one single opportunity to prove her worth and show her talent. So hopefully that happens sometime in 2024. There's a lot of major things going on right now in the world of Rhea Ripley and the Judgment Day, but there's some new smaller stories that have been picking up some pace, like the Jey Uso situation. Jey has always shown interest in Rhea Ripley in the past, but he's now showing a lot of interest in her again, following her questionable relationship status with Dominik Mysterio. We saw that Raw segment of Jey asking Damian and Dominik for Rhea's number, and now there appears to be some continuation to that angle that took place exclusively on Jackie Redmond's Instagram. Jackie went up to Rhea Ripley backstage at the July 15th edition of Raw and flat out asked her if Jey Uso had her number. Rhea's only one-word response was, "Yeet," and she even did the hand gesture as well. So whether that means yes or no is basically up to your own interpretation of her yeet. But it'll be interesting to see if this Jey and Rhea angle is something that quietly goes on in the background over the next few weeks. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.